One step. That's all it takes. One step away from everything fake, everything small, everything dead behind your eyes. You don't belong in cages. You don't belong in patterns. You belong on that path, the one no one returns from. And once you take that step, the echo never stops. There's a moment in every person's life when something snaps. Not in a destructive way, but in the way a seed finally cracks open and dares to grow through concrete. It's quiet. No spotlight, no dramatic music, just you standing still in a room full of people, yet feeling like you're the only one breathing something different. And something different, that moment hits when you realize you can't do this anymore. Not another day pretending, not another day shrinking, not another second surviving inside a life that was never made for your fire. And so, without even noticing, you take your first step away. Not from people or places, but from who you were taught to be. That one step, it isn't about distance, it's about direction. It starts as a whisper, something in your soul that says there's more. Not more money, not more fame, more meaning, something real, something raw, something that doesn't leave you feeling numb at the end of the day. The world around you will still be asleep, sipping the same excuses, chasing the same comforts and clapping for mediocrity. But inside you, something's already changed. You've started walking. You don't know where it leads. You're scared, you're unsure, but you're moving. And that's where everything begins. You're no longer waiting to be saved. You're no longer hoping someone else shows up to hand you purpose. You're now on a collision course with destiny, and you don't even know it yet. This moment, this first step, it doesn't get headlines. It won't trend, but it's the most powerful act of rebellion against a system that wants you to be forgettable. You are now a threat, not because you're loud, not because you're rich, not because you're angry, but because you dared to believe that maybe, just maybe, you were meant for something greater than what they handed you. That belief alone makes you dangerous. That belief alone makes you different. And the truth is, the minute you took that step, you killed the old version of yourself. The one who stayed silent to keep the peace, who smiled through being overlooked, who settled because fear whispered louder than courage. That person? Gone. Buried. Honored, but not missed. People might not understand. They'll say you've changed, and they're right. You're not coming back. You're not waiting for approval. You're not begging for seats at tables that never fed your soul. You are stepping into the unknown, armed with nothing but your hunger, your vision, and the voice inside you that refuses to shut up. That voice that kept you awake at night, whispering, you were never meant to blend in. So let them laugh, let them doubt, let them call you crazy, because crazy people move mountains while the world sleeps. And from this moment on, every breath you take is a promise. Every move you make is a declaration, and every step you take echoes in a place where return is just a myth. The road with no return isn't paved with gold. It's not glamorous. It doesn't come with signs that say, success this way. It's cracked, uneven, and lonely. You won't find cheering crowds or guiding hands here. It's the kind of path that demands your blood, your tears, your entire soul. Once you step on it, it doesn't ask you if you're ready, it tests you until you are. And the most terrifying part, there's no way back. The bridges behind you are burning, not because you're reckless, but because you finally understood you were never meant to go backward. This road is brutal. It strips away your comfort. It challenges every weakness hiding inside your chest. It drags you into war with your own doubts. There will be days when your legs tremble, when your voice cracks, when your hope feels like it's disappearing into the fog. But you will still walk. You will still move. Because once you've stepped into the unknown, returning to the old version of yourself isn't just impossible. It feels like death. You're not scared of the darkness anymore. You're scared of mediocrity. You're scared of wasting another day pretending that average is enough for someone who was born to stand alone in fire and not burn. The people you once called friends will look at you like you've lost your mind. They'll ask why you're pushing so hard, why you're choosing isolation over parties, why you're chasing a dream that doesn't even exist yet. And that's okay. They were never meant to see it. You don't need their permission. You're not doing this for applause. You're doing this because your soul refuses to settle. You've seen a glimpse of what you could become if you just keep walking. And that glimpse is louder than every doubt, every delay, every betray. On this road, you'll meet parts of yourself you didn't know existed. The beast, the builder, the warrior, the healer. They were all buried under years of fear and noise, but now they rise. They rise because they have no other choice. Comfort won't bring them back, praise won't awaken them, only pressure will. And on this road, pressure is the only constant. But here's the secret. Diamonds aren't made in daylight. They're born deep underground, in silence, under force. That's what you're becoming. Something unbreakable. Something rare. Something terrifyingly powerful. And one day, when you look back, not to return, but to remember, you'll see the ashes of who you used to be. You'll see the doubts that tried to drown you, the days you nearly quit, the nights you cried in silence. And you'll smile, not because it was easy, but because you never turned around. You'll realize that pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation. And this road, this brutal, sacred, endless road, it didn't break you. It built you. There comes a moment when you realize you're not here to be liked. You're not here to be understood. You're not here to fit the mold they tried to force you into. You're here to disrupt. And when you choose to evolve beyond the expectations they set for you, you stop being familiar to them. You stop being comfortable. You stop being the version of yourself that made others feel safe. That's when the whispers start. That's when they call you dangerous. That's when they call you the monster. But what they don't understand is you didn't become a monster by choice. You were made into one. You were forged by silence, betrayal, disappointment. You were shaped by the nights no one saw, the moments no one asked about, the battles you fought in the dark and survived alone. Never saw the storm inside you. But now that you're walking like you've been through hell, they're nervous. And they should be. Because monsters aren't born. They're built. Built from the fire you were thrown into. Built from every time you were underestimated. Built from the quiet fury of never being heard. Never being chosen. Never being taken seriously. And now you walk like you own the silence. You speak less, but your presence screams. They feel your energy before you say a word, and suddenly your calm is more terrifying than their noise. You've reached a level where you don't need to explain your vision. You are the vision. You don't argue with people who haven't walked your path. You don't lower your fire to make others feel warm. You carry it, burning, brutal, bold. And if they can't handle the heat, they were never meant to stand next to you. You've embraced the edge. You've accepted the solitude. You've become unapologetically you. And that version of you, it scares them. Because they can't control it. This version doesn't beg, doesn't wait, doesn't shrink. It commands rooms, it challenges the narrative, it doesn't care about being misunderstood because it's too focused on becoming unforgettable. You walk through doors that once slammed in your face, not with arrogance, but with awareness. You know who you are now, you know what you survived, and you know that the people who once doubted you, they can only watch now, watch and wonder how someone who was so overlooked became so unstoppable. You are not here to play by their rules. You are not here to stay quiet. You are not here to be watered down. You are here to dominate, to shake the ground with every step, to wake up the parts of the world that have been asleep for too long. You're not their villain. You're their mirror. You reflect everything they could have been if they weren't so afraid to step away. So let them call you the monster, because sometimes to change the world, you have to become what they fear the most. No spotlight catches it, no camera records it, no crowd claps for it, but it happens. Every single night behind the curtains, in the places no one wants to go. The real war. The one inside you. The battle where you're the only soldier and the enemy wears your face. That's the part they'll never talk about. That's the storm behind every win you post, every calm you carry, every confident step you take. They see your rise, your presence, your power, but they don't see what it costs. You. They don't see you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. wondering if it's all going to collapse. They don't hear the screaming in your head when you're smiling in public. They don't feel the weight you carry, dreams too heavy for one's spine, pain too old for your age, doubts that claw at you even when you're doing everything right. And still, you rise, still you show up, still you choose to walk this brutal, sacred road. Not because it's easy, but because you know you can't unsee your purpose. You can't return to pretending. The mask doesn't fit anymore. This is what people don't understand about growth. It breaks you first. It doesn't come dressed as light. It comes like thunder. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It comes with pressure, with isolation, with silence so loud it threatens to crack your sanity. And in the middle of that chaos, you find yourself building something from the wreckage. You begin to understand that your pain wasn't punishment, it was the foundation. Every wound, every rejection, every delay, it all forced you to become the version of you that can't be broken anymore. And that version of you, it's real, it's raw, it walks differently. It doesn't need noise to feel powerful. It doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't shrink in front of failure. It understands that true strength isn't about looking perfect. It's about not quitting when you feel absolutely destroyed. You don't wait for the pain to stop. You learn to carry it. You don't beg for peace. You build it inside the war, and that's the battle no one talks about. That's the war that shapes legends. You're not weak for breaking. You're not lost for questioning everything. You're human, but a dangerous kind. The kind that bends but doesn't shatter. The kind that keeps showing up when the world forgets your name. The kind that turns every scar into armor. You walk through storms barefoot and bleeding, and still somehow you don't stop. That's not drama. That's discipline. That's not tragedy. That's transformation. That's why you're dangerous. So next time they ask what it took to become who you are, don't say a word. Just smile. They wouldn't understand. They didn't fight your battles. They didn't hear the war cry in your silence. They didn't bleed like you did and still wake up hungrier. Let them guess. Let them wonder how someone they forgot became someone they could never ignore. There's a shift that happens when you've been through enough pain, enough betrayal, enough pressure, enough lonely nights, that you no longer feel the need to explain yourself. You stop speaking to be understood. You stop performing for attention. You start to realize that real power doesn't shout. Real power walks in quietly and changes everything. That's when your silence stops being weakness and starts becoming your sharpest weapon. You see, the old version of you used to over-explain, used to beg people to believe in your vision, used to water yourself down so no one felt small in your presence. But not anymore. Because once you've faced yourself in the mirror, once you've sat alone with your failure and didn't flinch, something inside you shifts forever. Now you don't speak to be heard. You speak only when it's necessary. You let your moves do the screaming. And those moves, they echo louder than 1,000 empty words. People get nervous when you go silent. They sense something's different. Something's coming. Because they remember when you used to fill every space, apologize for your fire, doubt your own light just to make others comfortable. But now you move differently. You listen more. You observe, you calculate. And when you finally speak, your voice cuts through the noise like a blade, because silence sharpened it. This kind of silence, it doesn't come from fear, it comes from mastery. It's the silence of someone who has nothing to prove, but everything to conquer. You're not hiding, you're preparing. You're not lost, you're focused. You're not stuck, you're growing in places they can't see. That's why it's powerful. Because while they're busy talking, you're busy building. While they post for likes, you plant for legacy. You become unpredictable. They don't know your next move. They can't guess your strategy, and that terrifies them. Because people can fight noise, they can't fight mystery. They can argue with opinions, they can't touch energy. And yours walks into rooms before you do. Yours lingers after you leave. Yours makes people question everything they thought they knew about strength. That's what happens when you stop chasing attention and start embodying purpose. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them misjudge your silence. 'Cause while they gossip, you grind. While they doubt, you dominate. You no longer owe anyone your story. your pain, your plan. You owe yourself results. And that's what silence is for. It's the dark room where power is developed, and when the time is right, you'll emerge, not to explain, not to justify, but to execute. No warnings, no announcements. What to execute. No warnings, no announcements, just action. So if you're quiet right now, stay quiet. If you're disappearing right now, stay gone. You're not vanishing. You're evolving. You're not broken. You're becoming bulletproof. And when the silence is finally over, they won't hear you coming. They'll feel you.